Greetings, friends. I'm Chris Ritter, and I would like to welcome you to the Gospel Spirit Mission Podcast, the official podcast of Kingswood Church in Geneseo, Illinois. This is a place for us to have some conversations with church leaders and just share some information about what's going on at Kingswood Church. And today, thrilled to welcome Heather and Derek Betcher. We're going to talk about Little Green Apple Preschool. And not only that, but Derek serves on our building committee. So we're going to get into a little building team update perhaps as well. So welcome, guys. Thanks for being willing to sit down with us today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, this is really exciting to be able to share about the preschool, a little bit about our testimony, and building team's a timely issue too.
So there may be some people that are fairly new to Kingswood Church that may not know about the backstory of Little Green Apple. So just so you know, I'm a little biased here, but Little Green Apple is the premier preschool in the Geneseo, North Henry County area and has been for a long time. The program has such a great reputation. But before we get to Little Green Apple, just give me a little sense of your backstory, share a little bit about where you come from and how you got to where you are now.
Sure. So I was born in Portland, Oregon, and grew up there, went to a wonderful country church. It was Presbyterian church, and my mom actually had the original Little Green Apple in that church. And so that was where I gave my life to Christ. I had went to BBS, Sunday school, all the things. My junior year of high school, we moved to Geneseo. I was welcomed by a wonderful group of friends who attended this church. And so I started going to youth group here. I went to school in Indiana, graduated, came back, met Derek. We started attending together, did all the Sunday school, VBS, all those things here. But at that time I was helping. And then kind of we've been here since. So
yeah. So did you all meet in college then or not after college?
We met in Geneseo, but that's funny because Heather's not from Geneseo. I'm 2 years older. And so she was still in college and I was working, and our families were friends. Our brothers were doubles partners in the tennis team.
Mm-hmm.
I think was like the real heart of the connection. And our mothers kept kind of encouraging us to meet each other as kind of eligible young 20-somethings. And that worked really well. I'm from Geneseo originally, grew up in the Catholic Church at St. Malachy's here in town, went to school at a Catholic university. And so
Notre Dame, you can say it.
Yeah, Notre Dame. And so that Catholic character is a huge part of that. Every dorm has a chapel in it, went to mass every Sunday night. And coming out of that, meeting Heather, realizing we had in common an interest in starting a good Christian family together. One of the things we had to get to the bottom of is what church might we go to, and I was trying to steer it in the direction of what I was more familiar with, and asked her to marry me under the outstretched arms of the Jesus, the Sacred Heart statue in the heart of Notre Dame's campus, right in front of the Golden Dome building, and that's still a super special place for our family. But the next day we went to mass together, and when she found out she wasn't invited to attend communion as a not Catholic yet, that about did it. And so I started attending church here, and so many of our church milestones happened in the old sanctuary upstairs. That's where we were married. Yeah. That's where all 5 of our kids were baptized. We've poured a lot of worship and ministry work into the church here and gotten even more back out of it. So this is definitely our church home. But Heather pulled me into this church family about 25 years ago.
Catholics make great Methodists. I've learned that over the years, and we've got folks that are very active in our church family. They're still Roman Catholic, and they may go to mass, but they kind of double dip. They're kind of dual citizens, and so that's I love that.
St. Malachy's has been a great supporter of the preschool. After First Methodist, the next biggest group of families that enroll would be unchurched, and then after that, Catholic, because there's not a preschool there at this time. And I think that's really interesting. What a melting pot of families the preschool pulls in. that have different stories. It's not just the preschool for Kingswood. And I think that's really
A
interesting.
lot of our families go to St. Malf to school too. It goes both ways. That's a good relationship. I want to pull a couple threads there. So you mentioned your mom having a Little Green Apple Preschool out in Portland, and Betsy Moore is a legend, and she's been a little, she's had some health difficulties and been a little less in circulation in the wider church here lately. But still I see her at Little Green Apple from time to time. She's a dynamo.
5 days a week.
Boy, Sunday school superintendent. There's certainly been long seasons in this church where she was the primary mover and shaker in children's ministry, and just a real heart for kids. And one thing that I've noticed about you, Heather, is you share your mom's just love for children and communicate so well. There's just a lot of love and respect. I think respect is really a unique thing. A lot of people love kids, but I think they really feel like they're being talked to on a great level with you and your mom. It's one thing I see that same heart in both of you. So just wanted to say that. It's not really a question. I just wanted to state that.
Well, thank you.
And your family, you've got some kids of your own, so I think we should probably state that at this point too.
Okay. Yes. We have 5 children, and our oldest is Isaac, and he is almost 22 and doing great in Indianapolis. And then we have Aaron, who's 20. He will be a sophomore at Clemson, minoring in religion. So he was just
double major now. He likes his theology classes so much, he's going to double major. And
okay, I didn't know this. I'm going to have to talk to Aaron.
Planted that seed, and it was by chance that was the elective he got last year, and he's like, I want to learn more. So that's exciting. We have Annabelle, who's going to be a senior, and then David and Phoebe, who are twin 14-year-olds. David will be a freshman, and Phoebe is the longest attending Little Green Apple preschool student due to her disabilities, and which has been a blessing. I mean, for me, for her, it's just been God has worked so many ways in this preschool, and that is one of them. When we started it, we did not know we had a Phoebe, but it's just been a perfect place for us. So that's just a quick rundown of the 5.
Yeah, what a beautiful family. They're all amazing. And I've been your pastor. This is my 18th year as not just pastor of this church, but your pastor. And so I've seen your family. Remember going to the hospital when the twins were born and all of that. And so, we've got a long history here. I was in the baby
seat when you and Becky came touring the church. And
they've watched them grow. You got some tall timber there. Your sons your whole family's amazing.
Having a bunch of children's like being a warrior with a quiver full of arrows, the Bible says.
That's right.
I love that. I love that line.
Absolutely.
It means you're ready. You're ready for what's coming.
Quiver is full. So, let's talk a little bit about LGA. And so, let me ask specifically, like a little bit more about how it got started here. And then kind of what's your, like, the driving philosophy? What do you try to do with the kids at Little Green Apple?
So, I'll start with how we started. My mom at the time was Sunday schools and superintendent here. She had served in different capacities with the children ministries, and I had as well, but I had just recently graduated college. I went to Indiana University and got an education degree and came back and was in the middle of some long-term subbing positions, but nothing that I was like, oh, this is it. We had a church member approach my mom. The church had just completed the education wing, and she said, I have some families. We're in need of a preschool. Would you and Heather be willing to start that? She knew my mom's background at Little Green Apple in Portland. And we started doing the research, what licensing we needed, all that kind of stuff. And it came together about 4 weeks. So again, God was just in that. I mean, everything just fell into place. Roger and Joy Perry were here at the time, as pastors, and they gave us the go ahead, whatever you need. So it came together, and we started the research in July, and by September we had our first class going strong.
That?
And
what year would this have been?
2003. 2002.
I think it was 2002. It was before we got married.
Yeah, okay. And Isaac was not born yet, and so that it just felt so right. And it was, my mom was not looking to come out of retirement, and I was not looking to start a preschool, but it has just been a wonderful
I can still
experience.
remember a team of volunteers coming together to build the playground.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, that seems like just a couple years ago, and
Yeah.
it's
Really nice family.
the
I mean,
preschool now has second generation students in it. It's been thriving that long.
yeah. So,
I always meet kids that, if maybe they're not come, I just meet them out in town. They say, well, I went to Little Green Apple. That's always a connecting point where there's just so many kids that have come through that program.
that's one of the best parts. I mean, it's what an honor, and it's humbling, oh my gosh, we still remember. Those are some of the best memories. And, sometimes you just feel like as a teacher, like, are we getting through this day okay? And so
Mhm.
that, when those are just kind of hidden blessings that
Yeah.
keep you going. But as far as our philosophy, I mean, I would say develop the whole child,
Hmm.
surrounding them with the love of Jesus, and just not as much as I mean, academics is definitely a part of it, but that's not our main philosophy. Our main philosophy is, um, can these children um, thrive in the future? So, are they socializing? Are they problem solving? Are they making those brain connections at this age that will do them well in the future? And then they're just such sponges. And I mean, most brain development happens before the age of 5. So, we're really just trying to develop that whole child and who they will become, and hoping that you give them enough experiences and that they can go anywhere and really find their passions and do their best. So,
I've noticed a few things just over the years. Of course, we love Little Green Apple, and it's just so much joy comes into the church when you guys are in session, because kids in their little backpacks and just come in and just ready for a great day. But I've noticed you do a lot of advanced work even before the school year starts. You're meeting with parents and you're kind of evaluating and really, like I said, that child-centered kind of approach. What does this child need? You've always been kind of a waiting list program because it is so excellent, but I've also noticed that you try to keep a slot or two for someone that maybe just really needs this. And I've just appreciated that missional focus, because it would be easy just to take the families that, you can fill up. No, it's not a problem filling the program, but you're also looking at who needs us, not just, you know, who's in
yes.
line.
Yeah.
And also, I've noticed, a lot of parent interaction, a lot of communication with the staff and the parents. And then also, it's a big deal to come in. A lot of these 3-year-olds, they've never really, I mean, this is their first experience out away from family and a group of kids their age, and their first like experience. And that's a real tender moment, right? When those kids step out for the first time.
I mean, it is. And the older I get and the older my own kids get, I realize what just a precious, magical, I mean, to get these kids at this age is just, it really is an honor, because these parents, like you said, have had these kids. Some of them haven't been away from mom and dad too much until that 3-year-old age. And then we're the ones that are, um, getting them in our care. And so that it's special. I mean, and we don't take that lightly either. And so, um, like you said, we meet with the parents, we meet with the kids beforehand. We have an incredible staff. I just have to mention that because, I mean, as magical as 3 years old is, it is a busy, busy
Yeah.
age
Oh my.
too. So,
It is
Thrilling
overwhelming.
threes, right?
You just pop in for 5 minutes. It is controlled chaos. There's joy and there's questions and there's Miss Heather, I need this, and Phoebe stole my snack, and I need help in the restroom, and when do we go outside, and all at once, and tractors and blocks and toys and paints, and like I'm not sure I could do it more than maybe an hour, and they've consistently found um, qualified, credentialed staff to just be awesome at it.
Yeah. How many of us would sign up saying, hey, we'd like you to do finger painting with a group of 3-year-olds
right.
today? How does that sound? And that's not too many people could pull that off, but there's always just a sense of order and peace and joy. Obviously kids are going to have their moments, and
Yeah.
and there's going to be some.
Part of it.
You're going to have to. That's how you learn the golden rule, right? How to love and forgive and treat others. And I've noticed a lot of that kind of coaching, like. You took, I noticed you took the toy from her hand.
Yeah.
How does that, how do you think she felt about that? A lot of that golden rule kind of basic morality stuff really gets introduced. I know at home it gets introduced, but it's a little different when you get out away from family dynamics.
Yeah, and you have all
Yeah.
those different personalities, and some are in the youngest in their families, and they basically their older siblings have catering, and
Oh,
some
yeah.
are the oldest, and they're kind of used to being in charge, and so I don't know. It does makes it fun, makes it challenging, keeps us challenged, and what's going to make the kids click and work
Mhm.
together, and so
When our youngest was little, people, why doesn't he talk? He doesn't have to talk. People just know,
for sure
they
they
just
know.
they know what he needs. And so you kind of draw him out. Well, you need to verbalize here a little bit. What does a day of LGA look like? I know you have a 3-year-old program that's
Yeah.
2 days a week, a 4-year-old program that's 3 days a week. What does a day of LGA look like?
Okay, so our 3-year-olds are there 2.5 hours a day, and our 4-year-olds are there 3 hours. So we
Mhm.
found that just helped with the kindergarten transition a little bit, and we had so much to do in preschool that we needed a little bit longer day. But the kids arrive. We have a teacher at the main front doors of the church. Question of the day: one in the hallway, one in the room. Um, and then the kids come in a few minutes while everyone's arriving. They kind of independently find something to do. We start with the startup, which is like, because we've been so fortunate to be well staffed, we can break the kids up into small groups of 4 or 5. And that's where we'll do something that's just better in a small group, whether it's exploring a pumpkin, looking for apple seeds, practicing their names, just something in a small group setting. And then we start our center time, which is really meat and potatoes of preschool. I mean, it's just where they are problem solve, teamwork, in the kitchen. They're having birthday parties or picnics. They do, amazing block structures, paint, easel, Play-Doh,
And it's very
puzzles.
hands-on.
It's all hands-on.
Yeah.
We have a light up magnet board that Derek built. That's really, really fun. He's definitely, he and my dad do not get enough credit.
Props to Derek, because I've
Yeah.
noticed that Derek is
Oh my gosh.
very supportive.
Yes.
And if you've ever, I tell, like maybe when a new staff member comes on, I kind of find time to talk to their spouse and say, you're like unpaid staff
sure.
here. Like you're going to
Yeah.
get sucked into this thing too. So
Yeah.
I've never seen him complain about it though.
He does not complain. He loves it. The playground, like he's out there weeding and trimming, and I'm sure you're delighted that we have a pumpkin patch out there this year. That went
Pumpkins are
great.
near and dear to my heart. I have a long history with
It
pumpkins.
might look like weeds, but it's actually the kids' wild pumpkins are growing from the guts they put in the garden last year.
These are jack-o'-lantern guts from last year.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that'll be a source of like joy and amazement this fall for them. Like
Probably more from, it makes me so happy. I can't even eat. So that's exciting. But yes, Derek and my dad both have put in a lot of time.
Shout out to Bruce. We mentioned Betsy. We haven't given Bruce his props.
But
he's a close friend of Santa Claus. I've learned over the years, Bruce is,
close.
and he helps him get ready to meet the kids every year.
Shows up with the guitar when needed for programs.
So he's so that's our center time. Just lots of hand-on, students engaging with each other, interacting with different materials. That's what I get really excited about.
Mm-hmm.
That's it's we get to think what's going to spark, spark this group, because if it doesn't, then it's just like Derek said, it just gets a little crazy.
If they don't go home messy a couple times a week, that you feel like you're not doing enough.
Yeah. But then we come back together. We have our circle time where we, do story and that kind of stuff, music. Then we break into snack. We do clean up after center time. I should not forget that. But so we have our snack. We like to do gross motor, and so that's when we use the old sanctuary. We go outside if we can. Kids need to be outside. That's their favorite thing, our favorite thing. And then we'll come in. We'll do like another whole group project. We break up into our small groups, but we're all doing a similar thing. Usually process art, like open-ended. We don't like to do a lot of worksheets. It takes a lot of planning but
And
it
process art is like you're not so concerned about the
the finished
product, but
product.
it's
Exactly.
the process of making the
Pastor,
art.
you
That's
should be in preschool. Yes,
I've
exactly.
got an
So
elementary education degree.
I know you do. You
Not a lot of people know that.
so right. And
Yeah.
so there's no we want to build their confidence. We want to just, help them feel successful. I mean, they're 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. That's if you have that confidence, then you're a lot more likely to just branch out and do things. So and then we do show and share and then they go home. So
One of the legendary events that I've noticed over the years that I always feel privileged whenever I get to be part of it is the program. Of course, and that's, I mean, that's another growth step for the kids to get in front of a group of, it's a supportive crowd, obviously,
yeah.
but they sing their songs and they've got some motions and some flashlights and some things that they're doing and some
Yep.
classic songs. It's just really a lot of fun and such a sweet
It
thing
is.
to watch. But also, you realize the kids are stretching in great ways to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what we used to do one earlier in the year and they just
Hard.
weren't ready. Yeah.
And that's a good example of something that's as much for the families as the kids. Um, and it's an under sold outreach event. I mean, I counted last time 150 aunts, uncles, grandmas and grandpas, babysitters, not just mom and dad show up for these events. And for some people, they might not have been in a church recently. And so
Yeah.
showing them that this is a family friendly place to celebrate their children growing up, learning more, and doing it, under the umbrella of the love of Jesus, like that's pretty important too. And it's not like explicitly part of the program, but it's definitely part of the why do it. And I think it just makes me real happy to see whether it's the Thanksgiving feast or the end of year program, how many people I don't recognize come to our building for that.
The Thanksgiving feast. That's another great one to walk in on. But it kind of gets us to this win-win relationship with the preschool and the church, that partnership, because obviously we house the preschool, and so that provides benefit to the preschool ministry, but also it's an introduction for young families in our church. And there's a reason why we're a church full of young families, and we have so many generations here. Not every church does, sadly, these days, and I think LGA is certainly one of the contributing things because it's an automatic introduction
When
to
we
our
started,
church.
that was our why. I mean, we wanted to be able to have the children come to the church building, feel comfortable, feel loved, feel like this is a good place because when the kids are happy, then mom and dad can go to church and feel, not have to worry about the kids. It's not like they're crying at the door, things like that.
Yeah.
So, the partnership has been above and beyond what we ever expected. And, we're thankful for that.
I am thankful too, and I love it's just a very safe,
Yes.
loving environment for the kids as they venture out for the first time into that kind of setting. So, it's a great thing. We are, the new school year starts when?
So we start with our 3-year-old visits, August 24th, and then our year kicks off September 1st.
And I assume all slots are full. Usually they are.
Yeah, we are full this year, and so I mean that is blessing. Some years we are not, and that usually turns out to be a good thing too. You just never, God always knows.
The Holy Spirit kind of uses all that
for sure.
Yeah.
So I do pray over our registration book, like bring us the families that you want to be here and help us be good stewards with that. And so God has been a good partnership with this as well.
Absolutely. I've told families when they have a baby, I say, you might want to get on the Little Green Apple list like now, get on the radar screen.
Heather's literally been contacted by moms who let her know they're expecting and they'd like to be kept in mind for a slot in 3 years.
Yeah, 2029 be right around the corner here. And
the waiting list isn't full 2 years ahead of time, but Heather's got a 2-year waiting list in mind. And to me, that's such a measurable of like the the community demand for what the preschool is doing. It just makes me really proud to see not just her work, but this church's ministry to be so excellent. And that's the fact that people are lining up for it is a real sign of that.
Well, I'm glad to talk about Little Green Apple because it kind of happens, on its own. I mean, you guys have your own staff and team, and it doesn't require a lot from me. And we don't. It's on a weekend where people see it in action, so it's good to kind of let people know this is
Yeah,
a
it
major
really
ministry of
is.
our church.
But I will say staff is definitely there if we need you. I mean, that's why I think the partnership works so well
Mhm.
because I know if there's something that needs to be above me, if I is out of
Mhm.
I'm feeling overwhelmed or so that
Oh, good. We want that. We want you all to continue to be successful. And so that's an awesome thing. Well, let's before we sign off here, let's talk a little bit about the building committee, Derek. We had Joe and Lori Witter on a few weeks ago to kind of talk about where we were at. We've been working since then. So could you give us just a little update on where things stand with the building committee? You may want to recap
Sure.
what we're doing because some people may watch this that haven't been paying attention to the other.
Sure. A year or two ago, trustees studied the state and condition of our South Campus building and concluded that it had ended its useful life, that it had a number of potentially expensive upkeep items coming, and we should probably stop as a church um, planning any kind of major reinvestments in it. That'd be maybe throwing good money after bad. It's just an old wood frame building that houses a lot of ministries, though. And so church council launched then a building team to study what to do with that structure. And Joe and Lori Witter lead a 12-person committee, all ages, people connected with different ministries that see different views of like what the church needs to do. And so we've got a really nicely balanced perspective on different priorities and ministries. It reminds me of the building team that produced the wonderful
Mhm.
sanctuary we have.
And
Um,
you were on that committee as well. So you're
Yep.
like one of the few alumni from
Yeah.
that first experience.
But that was like watching the A+ team work, and so we're using a lot of those same best practices with the current program. So after studying and cataloging the ministry needs at the old structure, because a project should figure out what are the needs, what's the church's mission, and what do we need a South Campus replacement building to do to fill that mission. It's heavily youth ministry focused, but it's not only youth ministry. There's a lot of outreach work and adult ministry work that's done there also. There's not a lot of Sunday morning work, but there's a lot of in the week work. And
Mhm.
I'd say youth ministry is the biggest part of it. Studied and cataloged that, tried to understand if the building failed suddenly, could we continue that temporarily elsewhere? Could we cram everything into the main campus? And for a short time, we think we could, but that gave a little urgency to the project. Screened a number of architects with experience in structures like we might need, and reselected BLDD's a firm out of Bloomington that designed our sanctuary and has a special focus in religious structures. So we think they not just understand what we're trying to do mission wise, but they also understand our church.
Mhm.
They've worked really successfully with us to deliver sanctuary we have now. We're now meeting with them. So fast forward to today, we're meeting with them every 2 weeks and reviewing kind of iterations of ways to solve the where and how could we replace the square footage there. We've identified between 6 and 10,000 square feet of needs, and that's not unique needs. The unique needs are like 35,000 square feet of needs, but it's not all at the same time,
Yeah.
right? Something that's a classroom on Sunday could be a meeting room on Tuesday and overlap. And so we're looking at plans that um, have between 6 and 9,500 square feet. But then we're also looking at like where's the best place to fuel those ministries. And initially we thought it might be on the footprint of the South Campus building, but we just had a bit of a breakthrough moment at last week's meeting and have directed the architect to kind of focus on as a leading concept, showing us more ways to meet those ministry needs in the grassy space to the northeast of the church.
Mhm.
because that would better leverage um, everybody being here Sunday morning, the kitchen being here, the office and administration being here. And so we think there could be some advantages, and there might not be as many cost disadvantages to looking to the north. I think it'll be super exciting. We're going through this very deliberately. We're not in a rush to build something or come up with something. We want to make sure that we have something that'll be good for not just 2027, but for 30 years of ministry. Um, as someone who's really sensitive to like what's the preschool need. The preschool is in a really healthy place in the education wing in the northwest corner of campus and loves being adjacent to the playground. But really, that's an example of having a dedicated gross motor space for wintertime and rainy days here on main campus is probably the biggest thing on the preschool's wish list. Where do you let the kids wiggle their wiggles out on a cold or rainy day? You don't want to have to put 40 mittens on 40 hands.
Yeah.
I mean, it would literally take all day.
Mhm.
And so that's an example of if this project's done right and there's useful multi-purpose space for activity and for meeting and for youth worship, it could boost so many ministries, not just the ministries using South Campus
Yeah.
today. And so does that kind of cover the where
It
the gap that
does.
you're
It
looking
does.
for?
We've so South Campus is some of our most used space, but not on weekends because it's over there. And children's ministry, people want to be in the same building as their kids, if
Mhm.
in case anything happens. And and so we've kind of what our architect's been walking us through a very deliberate process of rhythm, like you said, every 2 weeks. Carson Durham is our lead architect and designer sanctuary and all that, as you said. But, do we put something where South Campus sits now? Do we rehab some of the space of the old sanctuary? And we're in a fellowship hall right now filming and so, it's a historic space down
He's
here.
got some great ideas about that, though. I mean,
Yeah.
the location of this space, like very close to the heart of the main campus, is great, but it's a little hard to get to. It's kind of like
Yeah.
you got to know how to get through the maze and the labyrinth, and if you don't like stairs, it's an even longer way to get here. And Carson's got some interesting ideas about um, making this space, the basement of the old sanctuary, more accessible, more useful for more ministries, which could let us be more efficient for what we do end up building, whether it's north or south. And
Mhm.
that's why you hire a pro, is to get their expertise for projects they've done all
Yeah.
across Illinois.
Yeah. I don't want to bury the lead because you shared some late breaking news, which is we're looking more to the north currently with our planning. And just so people can picture that, as you come into our main entrance, there's a big commons area, the coffee bar, and then to the right of the coffee bar, there's a glass wall. And you may notice if you look on the outside of the church at where that is, it's not bricked, it's ethos. Because there was always an intention to have a future edition
And that was
out
part
that
of the
way.
master site
It's
plan 12 years ago.
part of the master plan. And so there's some opportunity for that square footage to go out there to the north, which would be very well connected to everything we're doing. So, obviously we got a lot of work to do. And so ultimately, we're going to bring our best plan back to the church for conversation, right? That's this current process of working with an architect to have some good drawings and here's what we think we should build. And we go to the congregation and talk about it. So, there's going to be a lot of opportunity for back and forth and input.
Yeah, no decisions will be finalized until the whole congregation's had a chance to weigh in on it, talk about what they're excited to support. But the building team looks at its job as figuring out what's an awesome way to meet the ministry needs and bring the best idea to the congregation for its evaluation.
Yeah. And
That's the season we're in.
Yep, and it's exciting. It's exciting to see some progress there. And so by what? By later this fall, we'll have some pictures and diagrams to show the congregation. I would expect. Yeah.
That's the goal.
Okay. Exciting stuff. Well, I want to thank you both for sitting down to talk today. It's been really, really good.
Fun. Thank you.
And always want to thank Lonnie Couture, our executive producer, who's sometimes he's in front of the camera. He's behind the camera today. We appreciate his work on gospel, spirit, mission. Those are the three driving forces of our church: the gospel of Jesus, operating in the spirit of Jesus, and for the mission of Jesus. So we do have a Kingswood series coming up on our first anniversary of our new name. So get ready for that. We've got the last weekend of August is dedicated to vision and sharing. We got breakfast coming up. So celebrating our identity as Kingswood Church. So thank you so much for being with us. God bless you all. Thanks for joining us.